and welcome to episode 3 of the Upkeep for January 28th, 2019. All the news you need in Magic in 10 minutes or less.
That's right. First up this week, the MPL or Magic Pro League was in Seattle recently for training.
Yes, so the whole 32 were there, and there's a bunch of photos from the event. It looks like they were drafting, hanging out, having a good time. There was makeup artists on hand, so I can only assume they were doing video recorded interviews or else just having their makeup done for fun.
I was gonna say, what if it was tutorials? That's what I wanted to be.
Learn how to do your hair for streaming.
Right?
It could be. Who knows? But they apparently talked about a bunch of stuff that they need to talk about for the MPL and had a good time doing it. There are a lot of positive tweets coming out of their training. So I think they all had a great time, at the very least hanging out and learning some new stuff, probably about streaming and all that kind of stuff and what's coming up for the MPL.
One hopes also some of the expectations and guidelines for their year going forward as well.
Yeah. One would hope.
Yes.
Well, we still don't know. Hopefully they know.
Yes. Item number 2, Magic Fest Kitakyushi canceled.
Yeah, so this was scheduled originally for May 17th through the 20th in Japan, and Wizards says it has been canceled, quote, due to a Wizards of the Coast scheduling error. We'll be trying to work with CFB Events to schedule another Magic Fest in Japan later in 2019, and we'll have more details as they become available.
Yes, it sounds like the venue that they were going to use is no longer available, and they just weren't able to find a replacement venue in time.
Yeah, so pretty sad stuff. Hopefully they'll be able to get something new scheduled in Japan because, yeah, that would be sad if they didn't.
Yes, and that is via an announcement on Daily MTG, the Wizards website. Next up, we have Magic Fest New Jersey, which happened this past weekend.
Yes, so we had some big names in the top 8, most notably Paulo Vitor Damaderosa in the top 8, and Christian Calcano, who had won a PTQ on Friday as well, so big ups to that guy. The winner of the whole thing, Max Williams, congratulations.
Yes, he was playing a Rakdos aggro deck.
I love it.
Which is a pretty nice.
Obvi.
With, of course you do, with a couple of rares like Theater of Horrors in there, and as well as a
Rakdos Firewheeler, great card.
Yes, a Rixmati Reveler.
A couple of Hackrobats and two Plague Whites, which proves that you can play a Rakdos aggro deck, although it also did have 2 copies of Consign to the Pit, which is 6 mana. So, you know, still gotta pay for your expensive removal, but a pretty cool deck nonetheless.
Yes, as some people have pointed out, the only coverage available for that event this weekend was getting to see those top 8 profiles and the top 8 deck lists. There was no video coverage, there were no round updates, there were no tweets, etc. about it. So that was the only snapshot that we got of that, which was a little bit of a disappointment to some people who were expressing on Twitter that the event was sold out. It seemed like it was a fantastic event, and it really stunk to be stuck at home not being able to see anything about that.
Yeah, and can we parlay into that about the way that coverage was kind of addressed by Wizards of the Coast, which was another big news item for us this week.
Yes, it certainly was. The only thing that they have said so far is that due to focusing on the Mythic Championships more, they are doing some adjustments to coverage for the coming year, which includes the only thing that they've mentioned specifically is that we will not see those round by round updates from Magic Fests / Grand Prix this year. We will only see that end of the tournament report stuff.
And that's a pretty big bummer because a lot of people like to watch their friends compete in the tournament and see how they were doing with those round by round updates. I know I for sure have used it a bunch. Just being able to read the articles about the players and the stories coming out of that weekend was always fantastic.
Get a little bit of insight into the different decks that are being played that maybe don't make the top 8, but maybe there's the seed of something in there that could be a spectacular deck farther down the line.
That's 100% true. And a lot of people have speculated spiraled off of this series of 2 tweets from Wizards of the Coast to assume this means no more GP video coverage and all these kinds of things down the road. There is no official statement from Wizards of the Coast as to what exactly 100% is happening with coverage of GPs. Hopefully some news about that in the future, but there is a lot of really sad reactions from people assuming that this also meant no GP video coverage, including one from Reed Duke, who said his mother was very disappointed.
And you know what? You don't want to go around disappointing Reed Duke's mom.
No way.
If you want more in-depth discussion from us and our personal perspectives on those updates or potential updates and speculation about coverage in the coming year for Grand Prix and Magic Fests, you can listen to our full-length episode of Good Luck High Five, which comes out tomorrow.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the SCG Open, which happened this past weekend in Indianapolis.
That's right. We had a handful of new constructed decks hit the tables, which is pretty sweet. In addition to some familiar names like Is It Drake's and, of course, Mono Red Aggro, because you can't get away from it. We saw
certainly can't.
Decks like Sultai Midrange featuring our friend Hydroid Crassus and
welcome
Bat
to the party.
Bat
Midrange. I wish it was Bat Midrange.
I also wish
playing
that it was
all
Bat.
the bats in Standard, which is like one.
Yes. You know, if you've got a Bat Midrange deck for me, tweet it at us at GLHF Magic on Twitter. I'd love to see your Bat Midrange deck. Bat Midrange, making use of some super powerful cards like Frilled Mystic and the 5-mana 5/4 Flash Angel.
Nice.
We also had Azorius Aggro.
Yeah, this is just mono white weenie with the addition of Deputy of Detention in the list and giving you access to stuff like Negate and Spell Pierce out of the sideboard.
Pretty sweet stuff. And then we also, of course, saw some flavors of Control, most notably Esper, at the top tables. So we're excited to see how the Standard format continues to develop in the coming weeks.
Yeah, some exciting stuff out of there, but that's just the first Standard event, so it's going to grow, no doubt, and expand as we continue on in our Standard journey.
Much like Bread Rising.
Yes, the Magic meta is much like Bread Rising. You heard it here first. Next piece of news is a bit of a weird piece of news, Megan.
This one has thrown lots of people for a loop on the internet. On the internet-verse? Sure.
Yeah, on the internet-verse. So Magic announced this morning that they have teamed up in some capacity with the Mountain Goats, which is a band, to produce a new album of songs that I guess are inspired by Magic and like Dungeons and Dragons and that kind of thing. So yeah, the tweet they did about it, which was a little bit weird. I'm going to be honest, it was all caps and
all
maybe
caps.
had some jokes, which I just don't understand in it. But yeah, we're going to put it there on the screen if you're watching the video version. But
well, here it is. We're excited we get to make this announcement. In league with dragons, the cure for summoning sickness. 12 new songs from the Mountain Goats, who pledged the Oath of the Cowl Prowler, released 4/26 and available for pre-order now. And there's a little URL where if you're interested, you can pre-order it. This is very strange.
I mean, I don't know how this kind of thing happens. Maybe somebody from the Mountain Goats likes Magic or D&D and contacted them. I don't know.
Who knows? Or someone at Magic
was like, I know somebody in this band.
Is like, I really love the Mountain Goats.
I mean, maybe.
It's certainly a possibility, but who really knows? They are also doing a live stream, which is happening as we're recording this right now. So by the time you're listening, you can go and watch the replay of it on Twitch or on the Magic Facebook page. But they're going live with the Mountain Goats to talk about the album and play a couple of songs. So if you want to know more, as I'm sure basically all of us do.
I wanted to point out that a lot of the responses to this were unfortunate because this was released the day that, we don't have information about Magic in the future of GP coverage, really.
Yes.
Other than those two cryptic kind of tweets. But one of my favorite replies was somebody who found a song by the Mountain Goats called No Coverage.
I think they made this.
Did they really?
Yes, this is a...
oh, they made it?
Yes, this is a Photoshop situation.
Well done.
Of a potential song.
Yeah, a lot of people angry that this is what they're talking about today as opposed to the future of GP coverage. Which, they couldn't, I don't know. I was going to say they couldn't have seen this coming, but yes, in fact, they probably could have.
Yes. But it is two separate things.
Yeah.
People are only connecting them in their minds and by the day of the week on which they happened. But here we are. So
there you go. That's a whole bunch of stuff that happened over the past week and weekend.
Yes.
Wow.
Again, for more in-depth discussion of a couple of those topics, including the standard meta, and as we said, our personal perspectives on the future of GP, the speculative future of GP coverage, you can find our longer podcast, Good Luck High Five.
Yeah, and if you like the Upkeep or don't, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts, because getting those reviews does make a huge difference in the ability of people to find it. So leave us a review for the Upkeep. And if you're interested in all of our content, we produce quite a lot of stuff, head on over to goodluckhighfive.com.